UDL is a framework that helps teachers plan learning to meet the diverse and variable needs of all students. Learning is designed to recognise diversity, minimise barriers, and maximise learning. UDL has been developed around research of the brain, how it works, and how students learn. It recognises the difference in how students engage with materials, comprehend and perceive information, and show what they know. This is linked to the three networks in the brain, also called the what, why, and how of learning. UDL promotes the use of multiple resources for learning and providing multiple ways that students can make connections to learning through multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression. UDL guidelines helps teachers to deliver an equitable, inclusive curriculum. So how do we use this framework to develop an inclusive program and facilitate meaningful engagement for our learners? For our class of Year 5 and 6 students, we have designed lessons across three areas of the curriculum: literacy, music, and physical education and health. These lessons illustrate how these guidelines can be utilised by teachers to design inclusive programs that cater to the diverse needs of our learners.
I looked at UDL through the literacy area, writing. The curriculum level 3, ideas, select, form and communicate ideas on a range of topics. The learning intention was for the students to develop their ideas using the visual image. By developing the ideas of adversity through the lens of George. The week's topic focuses around overcoming adversity. The visual image shown will make connections to Anzac and the unpleasant situation they were faced with. As a whole class, unpacking the word adversity would benefit students to understand the topic and further activate their knowledge. Asking the students to describe and brainstorm the visual image will support students who have a visual disability or a learning disability. By providing detail about the image means the students are informants for the other learners, increasing the possibility of ideas. Also, the brainstorm would be written on the whiteboard for easy access for all to share. Students who are learning English as a second language will be able to use the translating tool to connect the ideas on the board, also providing questions in written format for students with a hearing disability. Designing a dead word wall will support all learners, especially those of the gifted and talented abilities, through the increasing of their vocabulary. The goals will be demonstrated through an interactive writing, using the Think Aloud strategies to demonstrate the goals. All students would have an opportunity to express their writing through their preferred multimedia, such as speech, text, storyboards, voice to type on Google Docs, or video. Provide the students with the opportunity to share their work and request feedback at the end of the writing session.
I looked at the UDL guidelines through the music curriculum area. Music is a curriculum area that is a natural fit for UDL, as music is able to cross languages and other barriers as a form of communication. For this lesson, the students were focusing on overcoming adversity through the lens of musicians who have overcome a disability to continue performing. Students were tasked with learning a new instrument or learning a new song without one of their senses, i.e. their sight or hearing. At the end of the unit, students will share what they have learnt and what obstacles they had to overcome. To optimise students' engagement and promote the why of learning, student choice plays an important role. By allowing the students' choice in their instrument and topic, the relevance, value and authenticity of the learning is optimised, and students are likely to remain engaged. When students are able to have choice in their work, they often choose subjects that are of interest to them. Group work naturally needs a sustained effort and builds skills and collaboration, and providing an end goal increases the expectations on the students. By using pre- and post self-evaluations and setting and reflecting on goals, students are given the opportunity to develop skills in self-assessment and reflection. To reduce barriers that students might have in receiving information and throughout the learning process, all information needs to be presented in multiple ways. For any videos or pictures used during the teaching and learning phases, subtitles and captions in English or other languages, depending on the students, are needed as an alternative to the auditory information. Through teacher modelling and student-constructed word walls, vocabulary can be clarified, and this is an opportunity for the teacher to promote any understanding across languages. By using the X Factor video and class discussion at the beginning of the lesson, students have the opportunity to activate or create background knowledge and create connections necessary for the task. By providing students multiple ways to express their learning, a diverse range of learners can be addressed. Advances in technology, online resources, and the variety of music instruments available allows for students with a range of abilities to be included. Choice of how they can express their learning through performance, digital production, or poster allows for students to express their learning in a way that is comfortable for them.
As a teacher, I need to ensure I identify and minimise barriers for every lesson. In this lesson, students were faced with a team building challenge as part of our Overcoming Challenges unit. The lesson was based around an obstacle course in the gym, which would encourage students to collaborate and communicate with their peers. Instructions will be both written and oral. Diagrams, key vocabulary, and cues for the lesson will also be included. Demonstration of the activities and pausing to clarify ideas and language will allow all students to access these instructions. It is important to give them time to practice and explore skills and make connections to previous lessons. Will be given a choice as to how they engage in the task, with a buddy or in a small group. Our WALT for the lesson will be shared with the students from the beginning, and I will create a safe and predictable environment free of threats and distractions by closing the door to the gym and ensuring only students from my class are present. Fostering collaboration and allowing students to make their own personal goals will sustain effort and persistence, as the obstacle course can be completed by all students in a different way dependent on their physical ability. I will offer specific positive feedback that focuses on the student's strengths in this activity. Self-assessment guidelines will allow students to assess their own learning. Learners navigate the learning environment and express what they know in different ways. This could be physical, written, visual, or verbal. Tools such as whiteboards and tablets can be utilised alongside oral explanations. This gives learners of differing needs access to the explanation. In this lesson, assessment of their skill could include video, storyboard, written, or providing differentiated feedback for all learners and guiding them to formulate appropriate goals is important. From our research and implementation of UDL guidelines and our planning across the curriculum, we have gained a deeper understanding of how this approach increases student motivation and enhances their learning. UDL is not an add-on or separate teaching program. It is an approach to teaching that enables us to facilitate learning in an inclusive and equitable way. The New Zealand curriculum values are utilised within the classroom using a UDL approach. UDL aligns with the effective pedagogy outlined in the New Zealand curriculum, such as encountering learning on multiple occasions and in multiple contexts, and giving students choices in relation to their learning. So how does UDL enhance student learning and motivation? By deliberately designing a program that works for all students from the outset, we can enhance student learning and motivation. Student motivation is enhanced by the accessibility of the content from the outset, the identification and minimization of barriers, and the facilitation of inclusive, responsive environments that value the diversity of all learners. Research shows that when students feel safe and comfortable in their learning environment, they are more motivated and take more risks in their learning. UDL gives us a deeper understanding of student learning through the multiple assessment options it facilitates. Studies show how our emotions influence what we learn and what we remember. Creating a safe learning environment increases students' self-reliance and self-efficacy, therefore increasing their motivation and engagement in the lessons. When learning is accessible, student anxiety is reduced and students can see the value in their learning. With a UDL approach, they are sufficiently challenged and therefore more motivated.